Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden NFL 23 defensive plays video breakdown, going to take a look at a three-man pass rush, man zone combo coverage. And what this one's going to show us how to get a three-man pass rush and while dropping 8 defenders either in man or zone coverage, which gives you a nice combo coverage which can confuse your opponent whenever they drop back to pass. So let's go ahead and take a look at the play that we're going to run this one, and I'll go. The name of the play that we'll be using for this video breakdown is out of the nickel triple, and the name of the defense is called Nickel Blitz 1. As far as the playbooks are concerned, you'll find this out of 2 defensive playbooks, which is going to be the Bills and the Ravens. We'll go ahead and use the Ravens playbook for the video breakdown. Here's what the nickel triple Nickel Blitz 1 looks like without making any type of adjustments before the snap. As you can see on your screen right there, you've got 5 defenders that are going to be rushing the quarterback. So there's your 5 defenders right there as you look at it. And then you're going to have 5 defenders that are actually going to go ahead and play man coverage. So here's your 5 defenders as we're looking at the screen there. Those 5 defenders are all in man coverage. And additionally, you have 1 defender playing the deep middle, which happens to be the strong safety in this case. I know it looks like that's actually the free safety, but that's actually the strong safety playing the deep middle. So what I want to do at this point, I want to go ahead and run this play without making any adjustments at all. Just keep in mind with this particular defense, without doing anything, it's going to come from the nickel back as far as bringing the pressure in most cases. So let's just go ahead and run this. And you can see right there, he gets off the edge and he gets pressure on the quarterback, which is all nice and good. If you just want to run a defense, the bare bones of a defense, and get some pressure on the quarterback, there's the defense you can run to create that. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go into this and I'm going to go ahead and show you the setup that's going to allow you to get some pressure on the quarterback with only a 3-man pass rush, plus we're going to drop a couple of additional defenders into zone coverage. All right, now that I showed the basics of the defense as far as bringing on the pressure on the quarterback without making any pre-snap adjustments, let's go ahead and take a look at the setup here. And I'm going to show you how to turn this defense into a 3-man pass rush while dropping 2 additional defenders into zone coverage. So let's go ahead and do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to switch over to this guy right here, which is going to be the right end. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put him into a hook to the left. So right there, you go ahead and hot route him to a hook to the left right there. And then the next thing is you want to switch off to the nose tackle or the defensive tackle right there and put him into a hook to the right. As you look at it, you can see right there. So there's those 2 defenders. Now I like to go ahead and call press man coverage as you look at it. And that's pretty much a setup. The only other thing I'm going to do is switch off to this guy right here, which is a safety. In this case, the strong safety. And I'm just going to manually user him and kind of look and see what I can do as far as taking away maybe any deep pass routes over the middles in that area there. So let's go ahead and run this defense and we'll see how this goes. Now, again, the pressure is going to come from the edge right here. That's where you should see it coming. So let's go ahead and run this, and then I'm just going to drop back and I'm going to get that edge pressure right there, as you can see. So that's pretty cool, pretty simple setup. You get 3-man pass rush, you get 2 additional defenders dropping back into zone coverage for you guys who are looking for some user plays on defenses where you can drop guys back into pass coverage. And a lot of the defenses I've shown, I was doing a lot of user pass rush, and here you don't have to. You can just do this right here, and you got some simple pressure, you get that 3-man pass rush. And as you look at it from your screen, you can see clearly you got those 2 guys dropping back into hook zones, which is nice. You got this guy here, the one I'm in control of, dropping back in the deep middle. As we go ahead and zoom in, you've got this guy coming off the edge, getting pressure on the quarterback. And if you're fortunate to have an X factor lined up here at the linebacker position on the one that's rushing from the outside over here, which is another thing that you might have. This guy unfortunately doesn't have that abilities as an edge pass rusher, but he could also apply some pressure on the quarterback. So that's some nice things. So just keep that in mind. If you have an elite pass rusher, you might want to have him subbed in at that spot right there. So that's really it as far as with the setup. Now, what you can do here, and that's what I'm going to go in here, I'm going to add another adjustment to it, another simple one as well. So let's go ahead and do the same thing that we've been doing here. Switch over this guy, hook curl to the left, hook curl to the right. Switch over here to the safety and go ahead and call press man coverage. And the only other adjustment we're going to make is QB contain. And QB contain works nicely because this is the reason for that. And I'm sure you guys kind of figured this out already. If your opponent was to try to roll this quarterback out, and this is really all depends on your opponent. If he's got a quarterback that's fast, such as Josh Allen, who can take off and roll out to the outside, you might want to go ahead and do QB contain. If you're playing against a team such as the Buccaneers and you got Tom Brady who's a statue in the pocket, well, then you wouldn't have to do that necessarily. So just keep that in mind as you do this. It all depends on what personnel they have at the quarterback position. But at any rate, you can go with this right here, do the same thing, and you're just going to go ahead and run it just like I just did it before earlier. Sorry, I didn't turn the telestrator off, but you can see right there, we still get that pressure on the quarterback. Now, unfortunately, he got blocked on that, but a lot of times he won't get blocked. Let's go ahead and clear this. He won't get blocked anyways, and that's the only thing I would say about the QB contain. There is a chance that he may get blocked, but most of the time he won't. But if he did, that's fine. So let's go and do the same thing again, same setup here, and then this time we'll get that pressure on the quarterback. So right there, you can see right there. So that's pretty nice with this setup as far as bringing some pressure on the quarterback. Go ahead and go QB contain if you want. If you don't want to, it's all right either way. It depends on the quarterback that you're dealing with, if you're going to use QB contain or not. Now, what I want to talk about with that QB contain, and I'm going to go ahead and show this right now, it's for you guys, is that you can go ahead, and for those of you guys who like to go ahead and use a rush, I'm going to go ahead and show this. I'm going to do this in another video breakdown a little more in depth. You can have this guy in QB contain, and if you wanted to, you could take him off like that and then break him to the outside and try to prevent your opponent from getting to the outside yourself. That's something else you might want to do, but I know a lot of you guys who don't want to do the user thing. Well, you wouldn't have to. That's why you go ahead and do QB contain, because that's going to allow you not to worry about that. So that's really it with that setup right there. Now, what I want to do, the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to run this one more time. The only other thing I want to talk about here, as you look at this, is some substitutions that we can make with this particular team or any other team. You'll just have to kind of make the adjustments that you might want to make as you go through it, and depending on what team you got as far as with this. Let's go ahead and just get him down here and get him into the end zone here and just do a little dive in there. How's that look? So, but at any rate, let's go ahead and take a look at some substitutions that you can do with this defense and to make it a little bit more enhanced. The first thing I like to do when I do my blitz setups is to go into the depth chart and go ahead and hit auto reorder. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. That way it puts the defenders, the best defenders, in the right position. At least theoretically, that's what it's supposed to do. But at any rate, that's what I like to do. It's up to you if you want to do that. The next thing I want to do is go back into the actual formation that I'm doing this with and make these subs. Now keep in mind, this is the Ravens. You may have a different substitutions in mind that you want to put with the Ravens, or for any team that you're using. This is just my suggestion, so just keep that in mind. You do not have to do what I'm doing here. But anyway, I just want to go ahead and suggest what I'll do here. The first thing is, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this here in a second, but I want to show you guys what I'm going to make as far as a sub. So this guy right here, Campbell, he's pretty good right in for the Ravens, but he's not an edge pass rusher. He doesn't have that type of ability as far as a superstar. Even though he's a superstar, he doesn't have that particular superstar ability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sub him out. Now I want you to watch one thing when I do this sub here, is it's actually going to move Campbell to the inside into this position right here when I make the sub. So I'm going to bring Browser in at that linebacker position, which now he's lined up there, but then Campbell now lines up there. The reason that I bring Bowser into the linebacker spot there is because, if you remember right, he's the guy that's in QB contain. So when my opponent likes to roll out to the right, I'm going to have a faster defender in that position to try to take that away. Now, there's another sub that I like to make here, and again, this is up to you. This is a linebacker lined up here. So what I'm going to suggest you do is bring in a safety. You got a couple choices here, whatever you got on your team. I'm going to bring in Hamilton. The reason I'm going to do this is it's going to give me 6 defensive backs on the field now. I like that speed. So the faster, more speed, the more I feel like that I can get to the quarterback, or I can have better pass coverage and man coverage. So that's up to you, but that's what I'm going to go with this. So let's go ahead and continue on with this. The only other adjustment that I'm going to make is over here, and this is Humphrey right here. Now Humphrey is the team's top corner as far as the Ravens. I prefer not to have him blitzing off the edge here, coming in. I'd rather have him out there on, defending one of those, outside receivers. So for me, what I'm going to suggest to you is, let's go back in here and take a look at this guy right here. I believe Fuller's lined up over here, if I remember right. I'm trying to remember where he's lined up at. There's Fuller. So I'm going to take Fuller out right now. I'm going to bring in this guy. Let's go ahead and bring in this guy right here. And then I'm going to switch. This is a couple little things you might have to do when you do this. Is up to you. Take Peters out. Bring Fuller over there. Well, actually, don't bring Fuller over there. Go ahead and leave Peters there. And then I'm going to bring in Fuller right here. I like to put him where Humphrey was at. And then you're going to have to move Humphrey back in. You can put him on whatever side you want. I'm going to leave him on this side on the left. mainly because I believe Diggs is lined up over there. But at any rate, that's what I'm going to do there as far as those substitution adjustments. That's what I like to do. Again, that's totally up to you, however you want to do it, but that's just the way I'm going to do it for this video breakdown. So what I want to do now is go back onto the field here, and I want to go ahead and show you this blitz again with that setup of what I just did here. So let's go back into the nickel blitz one. And by the way, just in case you guys are following along, the play that I've been using on the offensive side of things is from the gun bunch formation, and the name of that play that I've been using is this one right here, which is called corner strike. So there it is right there. As far as what this goes, I'm going to go ahead and do the same setup as you look at it, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to this guy right here for now, and I'm going to put him in QB contain. Let's put everybody in QB contain, and then switch off to that safety. But anyway, there's the setup. And as I mentioned earlier, with that QB contain, if your opponent tries to roll that quarterback out, and then he's going to get just like that. You know, unfortunately, Allen was able to fight it off, but you can see the pressures there, and we're going after the quarterback. So that's what I like to do with the substitutions and the, you know, as far as the depth chart, that's what I like to do with this particular defense. To wrap things up with this setup out of the nickel triple nickel blitz one, I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple hot route adjustments you can make before the snap that'll, you know, maybe enhance the blitz even more. So let's go ahead and just take a look at those. So the first thing we're going to do is just go through the setup here, is what we've done before as far as default. Now this time I'm not going to do QB contain. What I want to do is, I talked about earlier about having a quarterback that's not mobile. So if you have a quarterback like that, such as Brady, one of the things you can do is take control of this defender here. And I remember earlier he was in QB contain, which is nice against somebody who has some speed at the quarterback position. But if you're playing against somebody like Brady, well, you wouldn't need to do that necessarily. So one of the things you can do, because I consider this defender a flex defender, meaning you can make all kinds of hot route adjustments based on what your opponent does and the personnel that they have. So for example, something you might consider doing with him is putting him into a curl flat. If you want to adjust the coaching adjustments and drop him back 25 yards, that's fine. That's what you can do with that. So just keep that in mind. The other thing you can do with him, say you are playing against a fast quarterback, well, you can always go ahead and put him in QB spy, such as what I'm showing there, which is nice there because he'll go ahead and still spy the quarterback. And say this receiver over here was running maybe some kind of drag route underneath. Well, this guy's now going to be pretty much in position because he's going to be spying the quarterback, but he's also going to be lined up here. Now, all of a sudden, say your opponent rolls his quarterback out into this direction here, well, then you can see right there that that guy's going to chase him as well. And that's why you also want to have a fast guy at that position to chase the quarterback, just in case you decide to put him in QB spy, he's going to follow the quarterback. So those are a couple things you can do with that. Something else you can do with this guy, if you wanted to, say you're playing against an elite tight end, you want to put him in man coverage on him. Now you got double coverage on the tight end, such as someone like Kelce from the Chiefs. This would help out right there. You'd have two guys defending him. That's another thing you can do. Finally, if you wanted to, we could go ahead and put him back into this curl flat. Maybe you want to control him and use your control him to take away the short middle of the field. That's another option if you so choose. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and leave him in the curl flat. Now, I didn't adjust any of the coaching adjustments, but I am going to switch over back to the safety. So at this point, we could go ahead and run this defense. I'm going to go ahead and do this. But as you look at it and saw it right there, we end up having a two-man pass rush. Now, again, pretend like that's going to be Brady. He's going to get sacked because you're still going to get the pass rush with only a two-man pass rush. And yet, as you look at your screen here, as we go in instant replay, you're going to have some nice pass coverage out here. I mean, look at all that. The coverage is nice. You got some nice pass coverage out there and really nowhere to go with the ball. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, everything's covered. As you can see on your screen, you've got it all covered. You got these defenders dropping back in zone coverage here. You've got this guy right here, the one you're in control of, using him. So there's some nice pass coverages out there. Everybody's pretty covered, so not a lot of options for the quarterback to throw to. Now I want to make one more adjustment here, and I'm going to go back and do this, finalize this setup here. So let's go ahead and do all the same things we've been doing here. And say this guy right here, maybe, again, this is all up to you because I realized these might be too many adjustments. You might not really make all these, but this is something else you might consider. You might want to put him in double coverage out here on the outside. Say this is an elite receiver out here, and maybe you want to make sure he's covered. You could always put that guy in man coverage and maybe switch off to one of these linemen and go ahead and drop them back into coverage and manually control one of them. So for example, here, I could do something like this. I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to that guy. And then I'm gonna do something like this. And now I'm just user control. Now I got double coverage on that outside receiver. I've got another guy dropping back into curl flat. I mean, I've got all kinds of nice things going on with this. That's gonna confuse my opponent. Just off this one defense, I've been able to make adjustments and gone from basically, what was it, 5 pass rushers at once, now down to 2, such as what I'm showing here. So that's kind of nice as well. With this setup, you can make a lot of adjustments. One last thing I want to go ahead and show here to finalize this whole video, and that's to go ahead and show blitz. I want you guys to watch this guy right here. This is that strong safety. If you do show blitz, I'm going to go and reset this real quick. All right, let me do that right there. See, when you do show blitz, let me go ahead and do the rest of the setup here. The cool thing about this one is you would have noticed that that safety now comes down in the line, down in here into the box. If you look at it, he's lined up right here. Now to your opponent, as you look at this looks like cover 0. So say he called a run play. He sees something like this. He's looking at this and he's thinking, man, he's watching this, he's looking at it, and he's kind of, before the snap, he's looking over here. There's no safety. Oh man, I need to audible into maybe a pass play. Well, you know what? Let them audible into a pass play, because now you still got those guys dropping back. Remember, you only got a 2-man pass rush. So that's something else you could do with this. You could do show blitz, and they had a run play on. When they see all these guys out in the box, when they see all these guys, you know, right here, you got all these guys, you know, in the box, whatever, they're going to probably audible out of that. They're probably not going to run a run play. So just keep that in mind. So that's something else you can do with this. And as I pointed out, in anything that you do when you do these setups, you want to try to make it look like, you know, other defenses from this formation. You want to try to, you know, go ahead and make it look that way. So, you know, just go into some these other defenses and check it out and kind of mix it in. This cover 2-man isn't going to exactly look the same, but you can kind of make it look a little bit like that, you know, with it, you know, do the show blitz. It's not the exact same thing, but, you know, you could control this guy here and bring him down the box, and you still got two guys dropping back and something like that. Just kind of mess around with this type of stuff and just kind of make your opponent try to guess at what you're doing. That's really all I wanted to point out here. But like I said, the cover 2-man isn't going to be the exact same defensive setup, but at least it's something that you can do. But go into this triple, you know, nickel triple formation, play around with it. There's lots of things you can do that you can work off of just one blitz I just showed here, this nickel blitz 1, and try to confuse your opponent. So guys, I really hope that this blitz helps you guys out. It kind of gives you some idea of way of getting pressure. I know some of you guys are asking me, hey, Cobra, can you show some defenses where you're not manly pass rushing? Well, there's a great example of it, and I'll bring some more to you guys later in the week or early in the next week, and I'll show you some more of these type of defenses if that's what you guys are looking for. Matter of fact, if you guys are looking for something else, just post a comment. I'll be glad to do a breakdown for you guys as best I can and take a look at and lab it myself and see what I can do for you guys. So again, I appreciate it. Hit that like button or thumbs up button if you like to play. Do that for me. Subscribe if you guys aren't a subscriber. I appreciate that. That always helps out. And finally, post a comment if you want. You know, that's cool as well. I like to have some interaction with you guys. Don't forget to check out the MaddenGuides.com site. This whole breakdown is up on the website with text and video plus images. Goes a little bit more into breakdown, maybe some stuff maybe I didn't cover in the video. So it's worth taking a look at that as well if you're interested in that type of stuff as far as reading this type of stuff as well. So again, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video breakdown.